He thought it was really unfair, and he's like, we need more E and G. Someone has to do the
I would be good at two, but I would consider it two games.
Everybody wants to leave me alone.
So source D is where we'll start. We're going to take a look at both visual sources. You don't know till tomorrow what your prompt is going to be. However, civil disobedience, letter from Birmingham Jail, Mary Wollstonecraft, the grapes of wrath, plus the sources that you have here in front of you. Topic, subject matter, good chance that your essay is going to involve civil rights, just people in general, like natural rights that we would have, or innate rights, protests, something going along that realm, and you're absolutely right with it. So you'll get the specifics tomorrow, but you can certainly tell that that's kind of like the main subject matter that we're looking at. So with the picture, and this is important to understand, again, especially if you are an A-Push, Euro, or you took the AP World History course last year with Mr. Komaszewski, when you did a DBQ, you had to demonstrate your knowledge and understanding of the source. Like, so what was happening with the overall context and setting and all that kind of stuff. That is not a requirement for this one. So like for the photo here, we don't know exactly what is going on. We don't know exactly where it is, and all those things, but we can certainly still make, I don't want to say assumptions, but we can still make inferences. We can still have educated guesses as to what would be the context of the picture. And then how can we go about using the sources? Some people are kind of wary of using visual sources because it lacks that definitiveness that you have with something in text that's in Word. This is requiring you to kind of make some guesses. People don't always want to make those leaps. The nice thing about the visual sources is it gives you a lot of freedom to do some different things. So whether or not it seems significant or not, what are some things that we're noticing from it? Like you just asked Jenna, what's this? And she said, it's a chair. There's a chair down at the bottom. How about that? There's a chair, top of a chair, like one of those folding chairs. It's probably not the most relevant detail, but what are some things that you'd be able to take from the chair besides people sit down?
Someone's absent.
Well, if it's an assembly, as opposed to, because if it's an assembly, you know about it, it's planned, prepared, it's something in advance. It's not a spur-of-the-moment rally that just happened. I don't think they said, grab your lawn chairs and come down to the park, we're going to protest. So it seems as if this would be something that is planned. Now, people are standing, so they're not sitting in the chairs. If you have a whole row of chairs, I'm thinking of graduation or performances that would be taking place. You have chairs on one side, that usually means on the other side, there's some other kind of stuff going on. Maybe there's a stage, maybe there's a speaker, maybe there's a performance and they're all singing in unison together. We don't know what the exact details are, but this is something that has been planned, that is together. It's certainly not a spur of the moment thing that occurred. What are some other little details, things that you're noticing from it? Pardon? Clothing? What about it?
Well, the one guy's wearing this nice fancy suit. The other guy, they're all wearing.
Okay, so yeah, we have a couple with suit here, you have overalls here, button-up shirts there. So it seems that if we were describing the picture, you could go that we have mix of races, black and white. You could also say we have mix of, if we're talking about clothing, an assumption we generally tend to make is economic status, class, things like that. So mix of class so far as economics. There's another mix or blend. We have male and female. You take initially, I think because of the faces in the front, we probably go, oh, there's a lot of men, but female, all throughout as well. You people are like bad luck for Smartboard. It works flawlessly. And then gray shows up. Hey, now it's back. What else? All right. Do you think yelling, singing?
I was gonna say they all have a lot of them have buttons.
Okay. So yeah, we got button there, and then you can tell that he has one that's just kind of being covered up by his arm. Button over here. Not necessarily everyone has it, but certainly more than just one person tends to have some kind of random button. So we have some kind of button or badge. We don't know if they're singing, if they're yelling, but there's certainly some kind of unison going on from a vocal standpoint.
Is this a color photo, or is it just printed black and white?
It's black and white. Like the cartoon does have color to it, and you'll see that on mine that you obviously can't see on yours.
Chose Unity.
Oh,
You hate Unity?
Are there arms crossed?
Oh, mine.
so why are you doing this whole thing? We don't know.
Probably saying.
Any ideas? And we don't all have to stand up and do this together kind of thing, but it does a couple of things. It is a stronger bond. Like, if we were to hold hands, please don't, and, pull real, we're stretching out our arms and all this kind of stuff, it's tighter, you're going to be probably more stable. The other thing is it forces, and this is really why we're not going to do it, it would force us to be what? Closer together, We could do that, or if we do this thing, we're really going to be kind of tight. So it could be more of a, not only are you unified by holding hands, but it's a tight-knit unity that could be taking place with it. Okay, yeah, stronger bond. That's right, you had a hand up.
I was saying, it's definitely during the daytime. I don't know if that has any
What era do you think?
era.
Yeah, like years, roughly.
Three color photos.
What would make me think about it.
Probably 1950.
And I'd say most people go somewhere within the realm of 1950s to 1960s, based on it being black and white.
When did the color photography come?
There, you could, I'm sure in the 60s, you could have color, yeah, you could definitely have color photography in the 60s. It just wasn't as widespread. I don't know at what point it became much more common, but like my parents got married in '65, and yeah, they have color photos of it. I would guess it'd be more of a special occasion kind of thing that he would use it for. But I don't know when, big market it started kind of thing. Any guess as to where they are? Besides like in a park or something, but like, say Washington, Birmingham, or Maryland, Missouri.
Little Rock. Atlanta, Georgia. Those are the Little Rock.
Small town Kansas.
What does it say? Jet.
They are in the US.
Detroit. How did you even see that? I thought that was an acre.
Wait, she was supposed to be no,
Right in the back. So, in the very back, third guy over is a white shirt, black tie. Below him, some kind of poster or sign. Looks like it says D-E-T and then beginning of like an R. So, good chance that it could be Detroit.
Sorry,
Detroit.
What is also next, and not that, this is going to, oh my goodness, look at this detail, but what is also by the sign?
the American flag.
You have the American flag back there as well.
So Detroit was in America. What?
They would have loved it.
The 60s were. Detroit is in Africa.
So the thing, and not that there are now hidden secrets that are becoming unraveled with the photo, but sometimes you can take a look at some little nuances of the photo, and it could be, not that your visual sources are always going to be a photo itself, but you could get pictures of sculptures. It could be a reprint of a painting. It could be reprints of covers to books. We've had photos of testing manuals and things like that that have shown up in synthesis essays. But you don't want to just look at the big picture. You want to try to identify little parts along the way. When it comes to looking at visual sources and evaluating visual sources, because we always have mnemonic devices and acronyms that we use, for this one you want to think of Optic. At least it kind of ties in with a visual idea. For Optic, what you're doing is you're looking at the overview. So basically your first impressions. Mr. King put stuff on the back of the photo, so now I can't write on the back. I have to get out my line paper.
That's exactly what.
And he already put straight lines on there for me, so now I can't draw my own lines on the back of the photos.
That'll mind this
Yes.
because it's actually.
I'll just write on the back of my literary term.
So you kind of have first impressions. First impressions that we were identifying some type of protest is taking place, probably dealing with whether it be race-related, gender, but some kind of protest, you know, about inequalities. The P, now we're taking a look at individual parts. So little details that you start to see. And I don't mean details in the sense of diddles, diction, imagery details, but you know, little details from the picture. So things that we started to recognize, the badges, difference in maybe clothing, the fact that it looks like it very well could be taking place in Detroit, you know, the flag that was there, the linking of the hands and also the folding of the arms takes place as opposed to, you know, just holding hands. So we're honing in on specific little areas. If and I purposely used a photograph that I really don't know the context for. If we were to say, now this is a photo from 1964 in Detroit where people are trying to desegregate the business district just like they were in Birmingham, I think the problem becomes that the more you know about the picture, the less likely you are to take some guesses and take a chance with some ideas. You are not being assessed, again, on your knowledge of that specific picture or photo, painting, whatever the case may be. So if Avery uses Detroit and it ends up not taking place in Detroit, she's not going to be punished by the AP reader going, that's not Detroit. Obviously, any educated person should be able to tell that's taking place in Decatur. That's an A. I think Decatur's in Illinois. You're not going to be punished for something like that. Right? T doesn't work in this case. T refers to the title. Sometimes you'll get things that do deal with the title. At the very least, the title might kind of give you some thematic ideas. If there's an abstract piece of art that you're taking a look at, the title might kind of help, you know, narrow into certain parts for it. The I would be an example of Detroit. What did we make?
Ideas.
Made an inference. And ideas would be a pretty good term to use with it as well. But inferences, you're making educated guesses. The Detroit public is aghast at the alien spaceship that's landing in their Central Park, and they're terrified for their lives, so they're showing solidarity of the human species by locking arms is not going to be an educated guess. It's not going to be a good inference to use. In conjunction with civil disobedience, Birmingham jail, very well crafted all that stuff. I don't think so. That's what I did. I thought the use of the term aghast was pretty good too. I like that. C, conclusion. I hate altogether. I'm trying to think, is this the two word altogether or the one word all? Two words. I heard that.
He failed his AP.
I did not pass. There's a difference between failing and not passing. There is for me.
Okay.
Hey, I got a 4.
You should tell Miss Ortiz that.
4.
What does that mean?
Wait, that's past.
I didn't-
passes.
If you add the two together, I got a 4.
That's not passing.
Wait,
So you really wanna-
you took it twice?
Well, two different, language and literature.
Now you have two.
So let's go both a little bit back together.
Hey, you took it twice?
And then-
What?
So
No, you can't do a super score on your AP exam, if that's what you were asking.
He's went to
no, but technically you got a
You
40%.
not like you.
English teacher?
Yeah, he's not an English teacher.
You
He's a
said
good head. He's
AP
a
language.
science teacher. The science of thought.
I teach intro to wood. I just happen to be long-term.
Well, if you in that
Science
case,
of
you don't
word.
need to pass anything.
That's right.
Well, she just did stuff all the time.
that was a really
of this.
Mr. Kane, you should teach
Oh my
CHS Microsoft Office.
That would be an oxymoron because that would imply Microsoft Works.
He didn't want English and
So whether you're looking at a photograph, whether you're taking a look at the political cartoon that we have, even if you're taking a look at like information on the chart, I want you to kind of have that optic idea where, okay, what's the big picture I'm getting from it, but what are some little details, and how can I kind of pull all these things together in order to try to come up with an overall argument. If you are taking looking at the photo, how could you use this, accompany this with other sources? How could it accompany other sources, ones that we have read? So we're talking about Grapes of Wrath, Civil Disobedience, Birmingham Jail, Mary Wollstonecraft Vindication. What are connections that we can pull together?
Okay, so like Martin Luther King, he says how like we have rights that like a constitution states, so it's kind of like under a nation we all have like equal rights. And then in this picture they're showing unity, and they also have the flag saying unity under a nation.
Okay, and so we have the flag, brings in the unity, the whole idea that King's bringing or mentioning. We don't know 100% accuracy, but chances are, what are they protesting? Some kind of inequality, some kind of segregation, which chances are still could be legal if this is before 1965 with the Civil Rights Act. So even though it's legal, a lot of folks would look at the segregation, the inequalities that are taking place as being, while legal, still unjust. And even though there might be two types of laws, just and unjust laws, there's a civic responsibility to be disobedient to those unjust laws and come together. So you could even pull in civil disobedience with source A. Martin Luther King, you're quoting just and unjust laws, that's use of source B, and now you're bringing in the picture. So to keep in mind, synthesis is not a summary. Synthesis means to blend, to pull together, to bring together. If you have to use 4 sources, that doesn't mean you want 4-body paragraphs where you devote a paragraph to each source. Chances are at that point you're going to summarize. But to synthesize is to blend, is to pull together. If I blend 2 or 3 sources in one part of a paragraph, then I'm doing exactly what I want. Plus, I also want to blend in my own ideas. I could have a paragraph in a synthesis essay, and it'd still be a high-scoring synthesis essay where I don't use any source material. Some paragraphs I will, some paragraphs, and not to say you have to have paragraphs where you don't use any, but you certainly could have some where you don't. Or you might end up using more source material. I use 3 sources in this paragraph, I use 2 more in this one, now I have 5 total. That's certainly a possibility that you could do as well. But if you start going 1 source per body paragraph, you're probably going to summarize as opposed to synthesize, and that's where folks tend to get more of the 4s, maybe a low 5, instead of the 6, the 7, the 8, the 9, which I don't know anything about, since I failed. But it wasn't my fault because the synthesis wasn't on that test back then.
So you
Would've-
can answer.
I probably would have had a 1.
Yeah, like
So this one's in color as opposed to what you have where you can see, red tie and all that kind of stuff. What do you see? Or what jumps out at you?
that's fancy.
She's a big head. The wrinkles.
I said the fatty. He has really small hands.
Technically, we don't know it's
I think it's very accurate.
How do you know it's
How do you
Because it's
know?
obviously
Because
like
it's
literally.
It's a good inference to be making at this point.
Nobody has a head that big.
All right. Well, I have a large head.
He thinks he's the best, so.
So large head, or you would be going large ego, kind of with it as well. Okay.
Oh, because he could put your highness and maybe like represent like the class that doesn't like.
So you're thinking with like other sources.
Yep.
Okay. And yeah, we'll get to that part here in a little bit. One thing to keep in mind: what's this visual source have that the other one doesn't?
Words.
Has words. You can use the words with the visual sources. Sounds silly, but you can use the words. There'll be some cases where a visual source will have like an introduction to it. So if this is a painting that is depicting and goes into detail about it, you could use the picture itself. You could also use the words as part of that introductory material. From a word standpoint, which ones jump out? All right, so we got look, anthem, so national anthem. And then down here we have Puerto Rico. So what would be like our publication date approximately? Again, not to the exact day or anything.
2016.
That was last year.
Last year.
Yeah, that was last year.
Yeah. So this would be last fall when hurricane relief going on in Puerto Rico. Now, what is the purpose? What's the picture depicting primarily? So more priority is being placed up here. This is the priority, NFL with the national anthem. What is Puerto Rico then, if this is the priority?
On priority.
Insignificant or less significant, something along those lines. I like that one. Regardless of political viewpoints, the president is viewed, especially internationally, as representative of the United States. Okay, the two go hand in hand. Just like think of Great Britain, talk about monarchies and all that stuff. Yesterday, you think of the Queen with England. You think of the president with the United States. Is it fair to say that and I would say majority, is it fair to say that majority of people at the same time were putting more emphasis on NFL and national anthem than relief for Puerto Rico?
Yes.
I would think that's probably, a fair assumption to make. So what could be part of the reason, and this isn't taken away from, you said big head with ego, what could be part of the reason too as to why the head is so large? It's the main viewpoint. It's a common belief that's being held not just for president, but also could be for the U.S. as a whole. Gray, you're messing up the smartboard again.
Wait, you didn't even use on that. Alright, guarantee he has a.
Come on, Lord.
On the bottom of his desk.
On the bottom of the shoes. I messed
That
up.
goes around.
I actually did mess up Mrs. Kane.
When it comes to
Well, you said it
iPad,
was bad on them.
it's pretty bad.
He said it was bad.
No, like wasn't the audio?
Although fifth period, I was using the handwriting recognition thing, and it was picking up on what I was doing, so that was nice. It says my Apple TV is in use. Yeah, right. Anything with the tie?
It's like Puerto Rico's lifeline.
Makes it
You won't stick
small.
his dick out.
You can't stick your dick out. You can stick your cheek out.
Yeah, you can't stick your own. Yeah, it doesn't work. We said about maybe bless you more people placing priority with National Football League than Puerto Rico. Why?
Well, some people probably that's not my problem. And other people will probably just go along with what our president says because if he's making it more of a priority, then it's gonna make it seem like it actually is.
Puerto Rico is part of the country, right?
Yeah, but still, people will think it's not my problem.
Well,
Not a state.
it's not a state,
Yeah.
it's a territory, and it's not geographically connected to the continental United States. So there is still separation that would be taking place where it's trying to become a piece of the president of the tie. It's trying to hold on, but it's still certainly kind of separate from it. So all of those things could certainly work. Were people still successful in getting aid to Puerto Rico? Yeah, it's certainly in some ways, maybe not as much as they would necessarily want. Those who were successful in getting aid, if you were taking a look at overall cultural, or not cultural, but national beliefs, those people who were putting priority on Puerto Rico as opposed to the National Football League would be considered to be in the minority. But it's important that the minority be vocal and be heard, because if they do not,
And they become part of
which is source,
it's civil.
that's civil disobedience, that's source A. Adele, you were starting to say some things about with letter from Birmingham jail.
Groups about this matter.
And even it doesn't have to be those who were like actively discriminating, but those who still did not care. I mean, that's where King was having problems with the white moderate. And yet the idea that I agree with you in principle, but I'm not really going to do anything. Yeah, I think we should put more priority towards Puerto Rico, but the Steelers are on. Okay, let's watch that now. So that moderate idea could certainly still be there, and absolutely with Grapes of Wrath, there would be some connections that could be made. So far as it'd be looking more, Puerto Rico's kind of like the Okies. We're not going to worry about their problems, nearly as much, even though we might have the ability to help. So the idea of blending the sources together can certainly happen and work. Taking a look at the photo. Now, going back up to the top. Flip your page over. You got your 3 columns, your adjectives, your nouns, your verbs. Write down nouns that you see. But you cannot write hands. You can't go people, protesters, men, women. So those words are off limits. And don't write ears, ties, collars. No. What would be verbs? What would be nouns of substance or importance? So it could be substance in that it's tangible, but you could also think of abstract nouns that you see in the picture, even though you can't really point to it. So like, I can look at you and I can see intelligence. If I look really hard. If I squint. So what would be some abstract terms that you could see? And again, they don't have to be abstract, but that could be a way to think about it. Or what are other ways of, saying people, protesters? What would be a more precise term maybe for what's going on within the photo? So come up with some nouns, just nouns. No, you can.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you can come up with some abstract qualities. The idea is, what are ideas that we can write about from the source that are source inspired without going, there are people in overalls and suits holding hands, singing stuff. I know why I'm recording.
It's keep eating at you.
Most of my answers were wrong.
That's probably it. No, just
I figured it out.
remind me not to do that.
Here's a that's a pizza away from every day. He was the Betty thing.
What?
I think I know where you
Can we
Specifically or no?
Can we get the essay question?
Everywhere, I'm pretty sure.
Can we take your AP test as a practice test and then?
Well, the Huxley Orwell question was
Oh, you did tell me.
yeah, I did the Huxley Orwell. I forget what the rhetorical analysis one was, but I could look it up. Yeah, not
The
really.
AP police are gonna track us
The
down.
AP police are gonna bring you.
The AP Twitter police. They check to make sure you're not talking
Wait,
about.
so did you do well, like, overall, like, in class? Like,
Yeah, when I don't remember if it was called AP English or it wasn't CHS. We had
CAS or something. It's like some fancy name for honors. So it wasn't mandatory to take the AP exam. So I think like 5 or 6 of us took it. So I don't think I really understood what was going to be on it. So I think I was expecting, all right, there's going to be questions about the Scarlet Letter or the Grapes of Wrath, and then it was like, what? Mary Wollstonecraft? Read the what's going on? Kind of. So it's not my teacher's fault. I'm not blaming her.
Through the PSAT meeting.
No, her husband like got me $16,000 worth of scholarship, so
No.
she's A-okay in my book. What are some nouns?
Well,
Courage. What else?
well,
Wealth.
yes.
Like, are you thinking financial wealth of
Yeah.
like the wealth? Okay. Make sure there wasn't wealth of something else.
Embrace.
Embrace. Okay.
To embrace.
Is it on now? Two in front implies.
It is.
You could use it as a noun.
Okay.
I already forget, Bree, what you said. Determination. Thank you.
Yeah, so that's like what I meant.
What did you mean? Since are we switching?
No, we just said that can be used as a noun.
Okay.
Like they had an embrace.
Right. I denied him an embrace.
It's all an embrace. An embracement.
Yeah. Strength.
Great. Does that end? I mean,
Okay. Any others? The badges, and you said flag. Okay.
symbols.
How about an A word for the people?
Americans. African Americans.
Some.
All. I thought mine was
Together.
yeah. I was really feeling bad.
Allies.
Alley.
Catcher in the Rye. Wait, no.
They're all going to punch.
Diversity.
Pain.
Pain.
Sorrow. Yeah.
All right. Now,
Oh, you died. Okay, got it.
yeah, I can't fit them all on here. What would be, I would give you time to do it on your own, but we don't really quite have enough. What would be some adjectives now that come to mind for any of these nouns?
United.
So united what? Like I want to have a specific, well, so united,
Oh.
we could have like United Allies.
United Americans.
Could have United Americans.
Peaceful allies.
Well, let's think of some other ones that we have now. So like what kind of strength or what kind of determination or badges or pain?
Sheer determination.
Anything else? Ken?
Prevailing courage.
You said abundant strength, prevailing courage. Okay.
The verb is the word.
Now, what would some verbs be?
Protest.
Brains.
For where though? Like what are, like prevailing courage?
United Allies protesters.
I feel like we're playing like categories or something.
Oh, I hate that song. Don't say the
Prevailing courage or abundant strength perseveres.
Brains. 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 I can break
You want to do abundant strength reigns?
you. I don't know.
Sheer determination.
Brains.
Prevails.
Oh, well, that's all I wanted. Brains. I already said prevailing.
Dude, I know I said
Prevailing
both of
courage.
you.
Come on, man. Come on, man.
Well, so yeah, I mean, we're not going to do prevailing courage prevails or, united unification unifies. But you could certainly take some ideas and kind of have some new phrases that would come up from it. Here's the thing. So say I take the sheer determination prevails. I could be referencing what's happening in the source, and rather than going protesters are like really kind of arguing and fighting for something, I could go, source D depicts sheer determination prevailing over bigotry,
and that is going to be an effective sentence because of the word choice, but it's also going to be a nice abstract way of using the source, but it still counts as you using the source within the sentences. So coming up with the visual sources, I think, can give you some nice word option ideas that you can think, how would I want to utilize these, whether you're talking on an AP exam or whether you're talking about the specific source that you're going to use for your essay. Mary Wilson craft quiz tomorrow, yay!